Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Big Things Kentucky. We back on this coronavirus episode. What's going on, Coach?
What's going on, man? I'm Coach Bew, my main man, Coach TB behind the camera. Coach Truck, what's good, brother?
Man, not much. You know, this week we got baseball is finna open back up. They done set. They're gonna start in July, about the middle of July, man.
July, around the 23rd, I think it said, yeah.
Yes,
so it's
sir.
good for baseball coming back, man. You know, they had ongoing negotiations about money and stuff. So finally, both sides agreed on something, which is good for us to be able to have some type of sports back, Coach.
Yeah. Nah, you happy, man? Because I'm not really. I mean, baseball, but I'm glad we got something on.
Yeah. I love baseball and live. Like, I love watching live. Like, going every year we try to go see a Reds game. You know, we try to sneak out see a Legends game every year. Usually our kids are playing baseball, so we get to go to a Legends game. So I love baseball in person, but it's good to have something on TV.
Yeah. The one thing, man, when everything get going, we gonna have sports going. If they get NBA going, it's gonna be like sports buffet for real.
Hockey going, you know, have NASCAR and all that stuff. Shout out to my guy Bubba Wallace. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of stuff going on at one time, absolutely.
Yes, sir. So well, this week, man, you know, with Fayette County starting, they'll be starting practices next week on the 29th. So we'll be ready to get going with that. You know, we got a little, almost want to call it a dead period. So we wanted to see what was going on with UK. So we hollered at Herald Leaders UK correspondent, our man Josh Moore, the one-man gang, used to be doing a high school football here in Lexington, Kentucky, and then he got promoted. So it was a good thing to holler at him and see what's going on with UK.
Hey, man, we had the privilege to have Josh Moore from the Lexington Herald Leader on today with us. Josh, been a big fan of the program forever. Josh, man, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry it took the pandemic and a Zoom call to finally get on. We've tried in the past to get connected, but better late than never.
We appreciate it, man. Now I'm gonna go right into it, Josh. What is your personal opinion, and what have you heard about a possible season? Are we gonna be able to get this season off?
Yeah, man, I don't know. It's like every day I wake up, and some days I feel really good about it, and some days it's, you know, because a lot of it is just feeling, right? Because you look at everything, you read so much every day, and sometimes there's days where things, you know, you see the news, and in some days, you know, like in the single hour, you can read something that seems real positive, and then you turn around and it's like last night, literally the last thing I read before I went to bed was somebody from Boise State saying they'd suspended all their activities because they'd had numerous players test positive. So it's like, and so you look at that, right? So this whole period, you know, is voluntary for quote unquote voluntary. We kind of know what that means. With you know, it means you should show up. And so if they're having, you know, so they're at least the second program that I know that's suspended activities, you know, since this all started, and maybe there's been more I just haven't seen, but and this is just during that. So I mean that's going to happen. I mean you got to think that's going to happen during the season too. If they start the season on time and playing, you're going to have situations where you're going to have players test, because they're not going to, unless they just stop testing during the season, which that would be irresponsible.
Absolutely.
But maybe there'll be programs that decide to do that. I mean, we've got states, you know, everything varies from state to state, and that's I think the biggest problem is you just can't get. It's hard to get everybody on the same page. I mean, what Kentucky does is different from what Florida does, and you know, you run into a problem. How is it fair, or how is it safe for like Louisville and Kentucky to travel to, or Western Kentucky to travel to other states? You know, if or vice versa, if maybe someone doesn't feel comfortable coming to Kentucky. I don't know, man. It's gonna be something. I do think they'll play. I mean, I just feel like these, you know, for better or worse, these athletic departments need football to happen, to in some ways exist. But I don't know. I'm not going to say that it's necessarily what should be happening. I mean, I want to. I'm as, you know, I'm like with everybody else. I want to see football played. I want anything. I want baseball to happen. I don't even love, you know, Major League Baseball, but I wish it was going on right now, just because it'd be, you know, feel like things are more normal. But you know, it is what it is. We all are kind of going through this day by day.
I know you're primarily the UK, you know, coverage of that. What's going on with the Cats? I know they have everybody on campus right now,
I think working out or whatever, they had some few players that think test positive, but they've been cleared. What's been going on with the Cats from what you've been getting from them?
Yeah, so they've been bringing back. They were bringing guys back in groups, or phases, which I think is pretty standard. It seems like that's what most schools have been doing. So their last group came in Monday, so yesterday. And I think that was mostly freshmen. I don't know exactly like the breakdown of what the groups were. But I think the idea was kind of that first group was going to be a lot of your big starter, starter type guys, your first string, maybe some second string guys. Because that first group was about 40 players. I think it was roughly somewhere in the neighborhood of 40. And I don't know. So, and then after the second week, there were about 88 guys. And then that last group, if you look at it and think, okay, it was mostly freshmen, so it makes sense that so it's 106 total. And yeah, like you said, 6 of those guys had tested positive. So UK isn't testing for the virus unless someone shows symptoms or has given them a reason to think they should test it. Like they say they've been in contact with somebody that they know that it's been infected or something, like a family member or a friend or something. So they've been testing though for antibodies, and 6 guys tested positive for antibodies. And they were, like you said, they were cleared. And then another guy at some point during this, known to have come in contact with somebody who was positive, and he's, as of yesterday, was still in isolation. I don't know who that is, and we'll never know who that is unless he comes out and says, says it himself.
Yeah.
But so they have. So, long story short, they have all 106 guys on campus now that they're expecting to go into the fall with. I mean, I'm sure there'll be a couple more here and there that kind of trickle in, walk-ons and stuff. About 17 returning starters. Kind of depends on how you kind of flummox with the numbers. You got anywhere from 17 to 19 returning guys. A ton of experience coming back, and then now the season might not happen. You look at the talent coming back, and yeah, I mean, there's other, Georgia and Florida are still. You should be your 1-2 in the East, just at least as far as like the preseason goes, just because they've done it. I mean, that's for I know people. It's hard to look at past performance and say, well, you've done it before. People get aggravated about that, right? Like, because even though Kentucky might have as much or more coming back, it's like, well, they have done it though. They've kind of shown that they're capable of doing it. But I think Kentucky, to me, it's crazy. What's weird is that if you're thinking like, why can't Kentucky be in the mix there, and why wouldn't they be at worst your third best team in the East? Because you look at the case for everybody else, and I mean, to me, it seems like they have as much of the case as your Tennessees and your South Carolinas and programs like that. And again, some of that's recency bias. I mean, because people, it's funny how quickly people forget that Kentucky beat South Carolina 5 years in a row after last year's, game. They just kind of just throw that out and as in your face as reason for justifying their decisions or whatever. Yeah, so I mean, if we get to play, it's going to be it should be a really fun year. I think it's going to be a season where you have a lot of experience back, a lot of guys, with something to prove, because there's going to be several of those guys that can be draft potential, go into the draft early. And then obviously Terry Wilson, is a big question mark, but from all indicators are that he's, going to be 100% healthy. He feels like he's going to be 100% healthy. So, until you go out there and see it and he shows otherwise, I don't have any reason not to take him at his word. So it'll be really interesting to see how it all comes together if it gets to.
And my next question, though, Josh, is it safe to say with all this going on, with missing the spring football and everything, is it safe to say Terry Wilson's going to be the starter going into if we have a season? It's safe to say he'll probably be the starter going into the season.
Yeah, I would think so, because you're looking. I mean, if you want to just pretend that Terry wasn't going to be the starter, my guess would be Sawyer Smith would be maybe the next guy that you'd be looking at, just because he's been in the system for a year. he was the starter in the spring just because of because Terry couldn't go. And coaches, I mean, they like Terry, or they like Terry too, but they like Sawyer, and I think with Sawyer, what stinks is he came in and replaced Terry there at the end of the Eastern Michigan game and played pretty well, and then played pretty well in the first half against Florida. Like kind of stumbled out of the gate there. I think he fumbled the ball and maybe threw an interception there early, and then kind of got his legs under him and looked pretty good. And then he gets hurt on a tackle trying to save it, an interception, and then just keeps getting banged up the next few weeks. And so people's last, he came in some spot duty, and he was really good. Oddly, his biggest asset down the stretch there was he was like a 4th and 1 machine. I mean, he could just be kind of Tim Tebow it, up the gut there. But I think most people's like big lasting impression of Sawyer was that South Carolina game, and that just wasn't. That was just not a good performance. So you're looking. I think you're going to be your immediate backup to Terry. And then after that, it's another year where you're kind of looking at who's up. I mean, because you're not. I think you're in a better situation with quarterback than you were last year overall, but it's still a lot of question marks. So you have Joey Gatewood's probably, and Joey maybe could be. You make a case to be the backup before Sawyer, depending on what kind of how things shake out. But he might not be eligible, right? Like he might not get that. He might not be immediately eligible.
He's still not cleared yet?
They've still not said a word about him. And that's what I don't understand. You see all these guys right now cleared for basketball, and it's like Joey Gatewood's been on campus since January, and they ain't said a peep. It's crazy. And then you have Bo Allen, true freshman. I think the coaches think highly of him. You guys have seen him play. Yeah. I think he's a really good quarterback, but again, it's not ideal if you get into a situation where you have to throw a true freshman out there. Something. A lot of things have not went your way, probably. Even as good as Bo is, and then you have Nick Scalzo, who 2 ACL surgeries within a year's time. Still, by all accounts, he was probably going to be the number 3 guy though on the depth chart before he tore his ACL the second time there in a scrimmage before this last season started. So I mean, if he's kind of back to where he wanted to be and needs to be, then maybe he's a guy that you look at as it's kind of in that mix too. And he's kind of Scalzo was more of a, I guess probably more of a passer than the runner, but he's a guy that kind of I would think fits in as a like a Terry backup. You kind of insert him and be more like Terry than like a Sawyer would. So it'll be interesting to see. I think there's a lot of again, it's you really hope you can go the whole season and Terry not have a major, like that's kind of the ideal situation. I do think if something were to happen, you still have Sawyer, and if he's back to 100%, then there's more to work there with Sawyer than he maybe showed there the last couple of times he went out.
Now, do you think this year, I think that the strength of this team is going to be the defense, or you think it'll be the offense?
Oh, that's a good question. Because they both kind of – it feels weird to say, but, well, I guess I'll have to say defense just because I think that's been a staple. It's becoming a staple of this, this coaching staff is, you look at – year over year, the last few years, they've had some changeover in coaching staff and obviously different, like you lose a guy like Josh Allen. I mean, and then you just people think, okay, you lost a superstar, you're going to fall. And last year they were just as productive defensively as they were the year before, even though they'd lost, 3 or 4, maybe 5 guys that got drafted off the defense. And
Devontae Robinson got hurt before the season started.
Yeah, they go into last season with no experience in the secondary at all. Yeah. Like one guy who I think had maybe been a reserve and come in a few times. Like, I mean, it was like you're arguably your most experienced guy was a junior college transfer who was coming in for, Brandon Eccles' first year on campus. and who proved to be one of your best corners. I mean, you have people going into the season this year who are saying that he's their best player on the team. I don't know if that's the case, but I do think Brandon's a really good player, and I was like right from the start, I really like watching Brandon because he just hits guys hard. I mean, he plays fearlessly at corner, and it's fun to watch. So yeah, I think you have to go to the defense just because they've proven that they can take, a whole bunch of, quote unquote nobodies and be able to sustain a solid performance year to year. And they've got a lot of those. So now you've got a situation where now everyone on your defense almost coming back has played at least a season's worth of football. There's some spots on the D-line is going to be interesting because they've had some weird things happening up there up front. I mean, obviously the Chris Oates situation is scary, and that's they're the inside linebacker, so they're going to have to be really thin at inside linebacker. I would think that there's going to have to be either a walk-on who really steps it up, or they're going to have to shift some guys around positionally just to give a little more depth there. But Peters is I mean, I guess it seems like that's more of an academic issue than even a playing time issue. But yeah, that's a guy that even if he'd stay, even if everything was straight with his schooling and everything, and he was still on the roster, you still look at him as like, well, where does he fit in as far as playing this year? Because they're at the, again, like the depth is important. You don't, you want to be in a position where you have, if you go like 5 deep on every position, that would be ideal,
Mm-hmm.
But they're in a situation where, again, outside linebacker is pretty deep, but it's like now with Peters gone, it's like, well, what do you look at? Okay, well, now what happens? Ideally you go all year and maybe you only lose one guy for a couple games. But what's happened here lately is sometimes you're in situations where you lose 2 or 3 guys within the span of like a game or two, like what happened with quarterback last year.
Yeah.
And so you don't need that to happen at any spot. Especially there on the defensive front, because they're already kind of figuring out how to replace guys on the D line proper. Like on the other side of it, it's like you don't need any more questions to pop up before the season even starts. So I think I don't, the Peters thing surprised me. I didn't see that coming. Just because it just seemed he was such a big part of the excitement going into last year. Everybody was really excited about this guy, and then he didn't play much. And then Stoops kind of calls him out during some press conferences, which he never does. I mean, so it had to be pretty serious because he's not usually the type to do something like that. So if you're doing that in a press conference, when the media asks, that means he wants to get a point across at that point, because I mean that's kind of just how these guys operate. And I think once Peters, I mean, now he'll be at a junior college and have his chance to go sign elsewhere. But I think there's a chance that he ends up back in Kentucky, because I think it really is because they have a relationship with Garden City. That's where Terry Wilson went to school.
Mm-hmm.
And he, so he can be, go there, maybe hopefully sort things out, and then he comes back. Seems like that's a possibility. I do think it's a legitimate possibility that Peters could end up back here.
Man, to go back to quarterback, is there a possibility they redshirt Bo this year, considering they're so deep in that position?
Oh, I think ideally that's what happens. Whether it gets to happen again, like if you get in a spot where you're suddenly 2 men down, maybe you look at Bo as the guy. I mean, because I think Stoops on signing day maybe suggested that if and again their situation is going to be a little different hopefully this year than last year, but he said on signing day there in December that if Bo had been on the roster last year, he probably would have played. Like that's how
That's a bad boy, yeah.
Well, I know I had talked to him like right during basketball season, right when spring was starting, because he was an early enrollee, and he was excited about starting to practice and learn the offense and get going in the spring. So I think that hurt him too. So as far as a chance of playing.
Right. No, you're right. It's a great point, because all those freshmen, I mean, the early enrollees in some way will be a little bit ahead of the other freshmen, because there's about half the class enrolled early. Mm-hmm. So So it's going to be weird, right? In your group of freshmen, even, you're going to have a group that got stunted because of the virus, but they're still going to be ahead of this group that never enrolled early at all.
Yeah.
And they're catching up. It's almost like that group's kind of it's sort of weird. Like that group got a little bit ahead, but that other half of the freshman class is not going to have to spend as much time catching up as they normally would have. So maybe in that freshman group, what you'll see is, you know, all those guys trying to catch up together, because I think there's a lot of talent in that class, and Bo's one of them that are, you know, and I think I could, you know, especially if they get into these situations where depth becomes a problem. I think you're going to see, because last year you didn't have, you had some freshman play, but it wasn't like real playing time. It was, you know, to kind of get them a taste, and they were able to redshirt the whole freshman class. There are situations that could play out that would, I could see one or two guys playing, you know, and not being able to necessarily redshirt right away. I mean, I think like a guy like Mike Drennan's a guy that might be able to do that. The running back they signed there real late in the game there, because he's kind of like a Lynn Bowden type. You know, he's just a guy that can instant, you know, a spark plug type guy. I mean, Justin Rogers obviously is a talented enough dude to play right away. I don't know if he'll. I mean, they might not need him. Because ideally you still get to redshirt these guys and sort that out as it goes. I think Salmonelli is the guy that really excites me. I think he's a really interesting guy, and he kind of gives them a little bit of that if he's able to, you know, adjust to things really fast. He's one of those guys that can give them some depth there at linebacker, maybe that they weren't expecting to have. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think there's several guys that are really, you know, promising in this freshman group. Oxendine's another guy, because how they handle football, you know, is pretty. They're pretty lax as far as, you know, letting us kind of after practice talk to guys, get close to guys, and really that's where a lot of your like best stories coming is talking to guys one-on-one, and so it'll be interesting to see how that's handled. I would think it's going to look good. I would think we'll get some access to practice. Because we don't really get to go to practice anyway. Like, cause some programs get to, you know, some reporters for other programs will get to, they'll open up like every practice. Kentucky doesn't. Kentucky just, they might open one a fall or something. And to be honest, I don't know how much you really get from, I mean, we would kind of know what a lot of stuff looks like, but I don't know how much you really get from going to every practice. So I'm not even necessarily saying that's a bad thing. But
now,
we do
they limit y'all when they open up practice for y'all, like let y'all come to practice? My understanding is it's not even like a whole practice. It's kind of like just like a section of practice. Is that how that works? Or?
Yeah, it's usually, yeah, probably they'll start and probably do a few things on their own, maybe about 30 minutes or something, 20 minutes. Yeah, and then they'll bring us in, and we maybe get to be there 45 minutes, maybe an hour. Mm-hmm. And then they'll usually maybe do 10 or 15 more minutes of stuff. And then there's periods even within the period where we're in there where we can't record. Like, cause like there's a lot of stuff they'll let us record, get B-roll and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But then even during that section where we can watch, we can't be recording. And it's like, and that's just, I mean, and that's honestly just because coaches are paranoid. Like, I don't, you know, I've never been a football coach, but they are the most. I can tell you, they're the most paranoid bunch in all of sport. It's you know, everybody thinks you're catch something that, you know, and like we didn't go to any practices after Lynn got switched to quarterback. And it's like I can't imagine how paranoid they would have been with that. But it's like at that point, what would you even be hiding? Everybody knows what you're doing anyway before you even step on the field. But you know, it didn't matter. It still worked because that's the thing. It's like if you're good enough, it's going to work regardless of if someone's seen a fraction of it. You know, in my opinion. But
absolutely. Let me ask you a question. A couple questions. One, Vince Merrill. You know, we noticed all the offseason stuff for him, the job offers, he turned them down. UK kept coming back, giving him more money. How big is Vince Merrill? How important is he to this program and the success they've had over the last few years?
Oh, Vince is massive. You don't have Kentucky football doesn't win 10 games without Vince Merrill. Kentucky football last year, I mean, because Vince Merrill, you wouldn't have had Lynn Bowden without Vince Merrill, and that's including not just the recruitment process, the initial recruitment process, but also the keeping his head straight when he got here. Because that first year with Lynn, he was, you know, kind of in a place where he was thinking about leaving, and without Vince, you know, and Stoops, you know, it doesn't happen. Because Vince, you know, just has that tie with those guys. I mean, you don't have you probably have a pipeline to Ohio. You have guys, because Stoops, you know, being from there too. They're kind of all. It would look similar, I think, without Vince, but he's just got a personality. I think he's pretty straight, you know, straight shooter.
Man.
Also, like a really relaxed, like he just seems very at ease. I think he's a guy, you know, at least in my dealings with him, it seems like, you know, if he stepped into your living room, he would feel at home, feel, you know, at place immediately. I don't think he's the guy that it would feel strange to have to deal with. And I could see dealing with, you know, if you're being recruited, I'm sure just because you see so many freaking people, you're going to encounter guys that just kind of rub you the wrong way. And I don't think Vince, I can't imagine Vince rubbing anybody the wrong way. Obviously he doesn't bat 100 or bat 1,000, but he's, you know, I think he's a guy that even the players that don't end up here like, right? It's like, I think, you know, he's a big reason, you know, why, you know, a lot of these really high profile guys end up coming here is because they just feel he kind of gives them a bridge and it's like a guy that they can kind of lean on when they get here. And that's why, I mean, you hear so many guys who, I mean, he coaches tight ends. Like there's only like 4 scholarship tight ends on the roster, but every player, you know, even if he's not their primary recruiter, you know, always has something nice or good to say about Vince. So I think that speaks a lot his character and his ability to connect with guys. Even though he's what, 30 years, 40 years older than these guys, you know, for most part, and he just says a lot about his ability to connect.
Yeah, maybe this question: how big was it to get DeKalb County to stay home to sign for Kentucky? How big was that for the program?
Yeah, DeKalb, I mean, that's huge because his situation was weird, right? Because he left, goes to IMG, does whatever he wants to do down there. So I think at that point, when you saw that, maybe you if you're a Kentucky fan, you're thinking, well, man, this kid didn't even want to stay. He didn't even want to stay home in high school. So it's like, so how are we going to get him to come to Lexington, back to Lexington? And then he comes back, you know, he enrolls back at Douglas and looks like, you know, who knows how that'll work out with the case double. It could go any number of ways, you know, just because that's how things go. But it seems like he's really excited to be back home and is really excited about coming. I mean, he went in all in on Kentucky immediately, like after committing. I mean, he's recruiting guys. He's as much out there trying to get involved and hashtag BPN as anybody. And so it's kind of, you know, it's fun. It's good to have those, you know, not just the in-state guys, but especially the in-city guys, because it's been, you know, this city produces some pretty good talent, but it's been a little while since they've had several, you know, like he and him and obviously his teammate Jagger being a huge one too. And that's a big thing too, right? Like he kind of can be in Jagger's ear, you know, saying, "Hey, buddy, hey, let's make the Douglas duo. Let's both go to, you know, let's both go to Kentucky." But I think, you know, even if they don't get Jagger, I think having DeKalb is huge because it's also what would be huge in terms of DeKalb is they've not had a whole lot of success recruiting skill guys from the state. They've they've been getting poached, you know, like, I mean, like with Wandale even, you know, I think is the one a lot of people, you know, really kind of look at is what happened there. I don't know. I wish I knew what happened there. But I think, you know, but I think with a situation like that, I think Wandale was, I don't know how sure he was the right choice when he made it. And so it seems like with DeKalb, it seems like he's very all in. So I don't think they'll have to worry about that as much, but you never know. I mean, recruiting is a funny thing. It just like it can take one thing to kind of flip everything on its head. But with the virus, I mean, you hate to say it, but I think the virus situation in some ways has helped Kentucky just because you have some guys and probably a lot of schools that because you're not a 5-star guy, you're going to get pushed down the list and maybe because you got guys waiting. So I think it made a lot of guys pull the trigger early and want to get in on this thing early. And you hear, you see guys jumping on. So you want to join up with them, team up with them. And you're stuck at home. So why not say, it's like you're not locked in until you got to sign a piece of paper anyway. So why not commit somewhere and see where it goes?
Now I noticed Jagger Burton, he's going now in August, but he pushed it back, says he's going to take his 5 official visits. Now, is that how do you look at that either way? Is that a good thing for you guys? Is that a bad thing? I mean,
I don't know that it's a bad thing just because he wanted to take 5 visits from the get-go. Like he'd kind of already outlined the schools that he wanted to take them to. So I don't know that it's necessarily a bad thing because I think, if I were a kid in that position, I'd want to take all my visits too, even though it's like, even if I knew I was going where I was going the minute I, started taking them, just because why not? It'd just be fun, And then if you're Jagger, if you really want to take the visits, if you commit somewhere in August and and we get into September and you're taking visits, because then everybody's asking like, well, how committed is he? People just do that.
Great interview with Josh Moore. We got a chance to sit down with us. We've been chasing him for a while. Yeah, it took a quarantine for us to catch him, pandemic, but it was good to have him on, man. And a lot of information he had, man, about incoming freshmen, about what the procedures they're going through over there. Talked about Coach Merrill, which was good too. I love Coach. That's your boy there, Coach Merrill.
Yes, sir. Big dog, row.
Yeah, and he even touched a little bit about high school sports. But one thing is consistent is no one knows when we're going to get to actual football contact. No one knows. No one. College, high school, pros, nobody knows, Coach. So that's the uncertainty we're facing in these times that we're in right now.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that a lot of people worry about is once we get going, do we have a flare-up and that shuts us down again? You know what I'm saying?
Well, you see states that open up earlier are having these flare-ups and they want to regress back to what they was doing before. So it's going to be interesting to see. Because like I said, me and you talked off the record is all it takes is about 10 or 15 kids to get sick to pass it on to 10 or 15 more kids, and then you go wipe your program. I mean, you get half your program sick.
And football is such a community sport. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's in the locker room. Like one thing, if the flu goes around, the whole team will get it.
Thing about it, too, staph infection. Remember, cats get staph infection, and then you go, boom, rolls through the locker room, and it gets a lot of people sick. You know what I'm saying? So many things that can pass around the locker room. You try to keep it clean and stuff. So it's gonna be interesting to see. I know a lot of youth teams in the area are starting back, and in Louisville as well. So be careful with that. Youth baseball starting back. So it's gonna be interesting time to figure out how to navigate through all this.
Yes, sir. So check back with us, man, next week as we check in on Fayette County and see what's going on. I wish everybody the best. Stay safe, stay healthy, Coach. Man, anything else, Coach?
Hey, man, before we leave, make sure you holler at Coach Truck for your merchandise. We got the big things, Kentucky shirts in all colors. If you need a special size, holler at me. We'll get one order for you. I got one going for my guy Dre Slaughter, so yours will be on the way. Man, like I said, we got hats and everything, man. So definitely holler at us, man. Support. We try to support others, man. Throw the same support back. Absolutely.
All right, Coach, anything else, man?
No, sir. As always, we ask you to be a living donor. I'm Coach Bew, my main man, Coach T behind the camera, Coach Truck.
Hey.